Hi, welcome to CiNEMACHiNE. I'm Al, and I'm here with Brandon.
Hello.
And Ryan.
Howdy.
And tonight we are going to review The Invisible Man that you all chose and asked us to review. But first, we're going to tell you all where you can find us on social media and how you can vote the next go around. So, Ryan, you want to tell them where they can find us?
Yeah, so you can find us on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook at CiNEMACHiNE And like we say on every episode, it's been awesome to chat with you guys and talk movies. And same goes for here on YouTube in the comments. We love chatting with you, so keep it up.
Yeah, and there's been some really funny comments, been some really insightful comments, especially for the Tenet episode. So we truly appreciate everybody chiming in. So this week we're going to talk about what we've been watching lately. So first and foremost, I'm going to ask Brandon up here. Brandon, what have you been watching?
Well,
glad you asked.
Yeah, thanks for asking, Al. This week I revisited an old movie and watched something new. Both of these I watched with my daughter. We we watched Jim Carrey's The Mask with her, which I hadn't seen probably in 15 years or more. I don't know. It's been so long. And I used to watch this religiously when I was a kid. So even though I haven't seen it in so long, it was just like I fell right back into just like quoting every single line because it was just the movie that was like kind of defined. Like Jim Carrey was like the guy when I was growing up. So anyway, so we watched The Mask and Luna, she loved it. And
was she doing the mouth thing after? Somebody stop me and all that stuff? Was she doing that?
She's been she's been saying smoking a lot.
That's what that movie does to you.
Yep. It's super quotable. First appearance of Cameron Diaz. Melissa was like, introducing Cameron Diaz. I was like, yeah.
Yeah, I think she was a model at that time.
Yeah. But yeah, no, that was fun. That was fun to revisit. I mean, it's one of those movies. It's like, if you were to watch it, you know, at our age at this point, it probably wouldn't hold up. But for a kid that hasn't seen,
it's a cartoon
like that. It's yeah. Luna really liked it. She really liked the dog, Milo. So watched that. Yep. So going on this, I've been on a Sam Rockwell train for a while.
Okay.
And unbeknownst to me, once again, I watched another Sam Rockwell movie, and that movie is Trolls World Tour.
During the movie, there was a character royalty checks from Rockwell's company.
Yeah, there's a character on. It's like a cowboy troll character. And I was like, man, this guy's voice sounds so familiar. And then I was like, surely this isn't Sam Rockwell, because that would just be
Oh, it's because I've heard it every week for the last month and a half.
Yeah.
And by the time the credits rolled up, and sure enough, Sam Rockwell. And you know what else is funny about that, guys? Let me tell you.
You listen to his ASMR to go to sleep?
Brandon.
What?
we just reviewed Tenet. Guess who did the score for Trolls World Tour?
What?
Ludwig Göransson, or however you say his last name.
So
You've
really
blown Al's mind.
Really, guys.
That was the most
eclectic.
surprising thing. I was like, really? Yeah, it was like music by Justin Timberlake and Ludwig.
What a year for Ludwig!
I know, right?
Man, not since Beethoven.
But yeah, that movie was absolute trash. And I don't want to watch it again, but I'm sure I will. It was. All
you Trolls 2 fans, hit them up in the comments.
I actually
at Brandon Duncan.
I don't mind the first Trolls movie. It's actually not bad. It's got a pretty decent story. It's easy to follow, but this one was just like
cash grab.
I mean, yeah, it was.
Toys
didn't make it. This one kind of came out. I guess it was scheduled to come out like right when COVID hit.
Yeah.
So they ended up making that controversial, decision to just go ahead
or streaming, right?
So they say, yeah.
Did you buy this movie?
This was the one. This was the movie that caused like Universal to basically, Universal and AMC had that big feud where AMC was like, "We're not going to show Universal movies anymore." And that whole thing.
Creative.
What did you ask me? What did you ask me?
Did you buy this movie?
No, it was on Hulu.
Oh, it's on Hulu already. Wow.
I was like, I have to check that one out.
Yeah. Hope they have a commentary.
It was on Hulu. I think it was like part of the Stars like add-on with Hulu or whatever. So I guess it's Stars maybe, but it's
okay.
Whatever.
Okay. Yeah.
So
yeah, I'm digging Stars, man. Stars is freaking great. That's where I've seen all my 80s, 90s action movies. It's like it's chock full of that, and like it's got a lot
Trolls
of good stuff
World
on there.
Tour.
I mean,
Exactly.
You think I'm going to sleep tonight? I don't think so.
Repeat.
I'd like to think so. Speaking of the mask. Anyway, but yeah, that's been my watch. Trolls World Tour and The Mask.
Fantastic.
That's all I gotta say. Next.
Yeah, Ryan, try to follow that.
Well, since you asked, Al.
Yes.
This last week I watched. First, I'll say I watched with Katie The Art of Self-Defense. Have either of you seen it?
I've seen that. Yes.
What did you think of it?
Negative.
I thought it was overhyped. I was excited to see it. Thought it was overhyped.
Yeah.
I thought there were probably like 2 good parts in the movie, and the rest of it was just like brown and mustard yellow.
Yes. Yeah. I was pretty excited to see it. And it was not good.
I didn't enjoy it. Like it was more depressing than it was like
It reminded me of. It actually reminded me of
Anger Goes
West without any humor.
Anger Goes West actually has jokes. This movie, like,
well, that's what I'm saying.
everything was violent.
They tried to do jokes, but it was just not.
They didn't land.
Everything was way too. There's dry humor and then there's dry humor. And
this movie was sandpaper humor.
Yeah.
I mean, if you want to go any drier, so it was.
It got a little bit better in the second half.
I think the ending was a little bit too much. Like, I understand what they were trying to do. It's not because like, oh my gosh, it's surprise. But yeah, I saw it. I don't know, probably about 5 or 6 months ago. So, but yeah, I remember
it's super well received by critics, and you know how that goes sometimes.
Yeah.
Right, Brandon?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And then I've been spending the majority of my watching time. I did a rewatch of season 1 of The Boys, in preparation for the season 2 debut Thursday, Friday. And that show it's great. I told Brandon a couple times now. Really surprised by the rewatchability. Humor goes a long way with that one. And season 2, they're going back to. It seems like all these TV shows are going back to that weekly episode launch instead of just the bulk binge Netflix model.
I dig it.
So it's I hope it keeps the conversation going about the show, because
that's kind of the point.
Yeah, I mean, even the first 3 episodes, every episode there was kind of a like jaw drop moment. So I think it lends well to the discussion on Twitter or wherever. I
think it helps just keep people kind of more or less in the same, like spot in the show.
Sure.
Nobody's like getting ahead too far from each other, and so it just allows more conversation on social and normally water cooler conversation, but not a lot of people have that anymore. But
yeah, I think now especially it's good to kind of stretch them out, because you can binge everything so much quicker now that everybody's kind of locked down, still a little bit.
Yeah, and to be honest, there's just so much content out there now.
Oh my gosh.
That model doesn't even really make that much sense. Like, you might as well space things out, take advantage of it. And,
when Netflix was the only one,
as long as you have.
Go ahead.
Go ahead. Sorry.
Go ahead, Brandon. Go ahead.
You
I was just saying As long as it's a property that is gonna grip people enough to remind them, oh yeah, the next episodes are coming out.
Sure.
You gotta have. It can't just be like a new thing. That
It's got to have a hook for sure.
It's kind of now it's a risk, I guess, to
Right.
to release it episodically. But if it's good enough, people
Sure.
will tune back in.
So I'm a broken record when I talk to people about this show, but if you have not seen it, I highly recommend it. Super creative, super enjoyable.
Yeah,
Check it out.
I'm looking forward to watching season 2 at some point.
And that's what I got.
Awesome.
Al, what'd you watch?
I watched Bill and Ted Face the Music. Woohoo!
Ooh.
I went to the theater to see it. I didn't watch it at home. I thought I would treat myself. And I was the only person in the theater. So, and I mean the whole theater, not just that room. There was actually one other group of 4. It was a family of 4 that went to see. I forgot what they were. Oh, they went to go see the what's the Mutants movie?
New Mutants.
New Moon.
Yeah, they went to see that. And
Those poor people.
the dad, I ordered popcorn, and they were dipping out my popcorn. I talked to the dad of the family. I said, "What are you guys going to see?" And he told me, and he said, "Man, it's just good to get out of the house. Like I got nothing else to do. I just want to get out of the house." So I don't think he cared, and he was trying to stop his kids from fighting. They were teenagers. He's trying to get them to stop fighting with each other because it's like, "I'm touching you" and stuff like that. So, but it was great. The movie itself, if you do not like the original Bill and Ted movies, you're not going to like this movie. The movie was fun for the most part, but it ends abruptly. That's all I'll say about that. But I still...
Teeing up a sequel?
I think they were trying to, but I don't know that it's going to happen. I still haven't seen the numbers come in from streaming and stuff like that. So, not to say they're not out there. I just haven't looked. But it was fun.
Yeah.
And I'll probably buy it when it comes out, just because they'll probably put out a nice little box set, and I'll probably buy that. But
And then when the sequel comes out, they'll put out another box set.
I don't know that they're going to do it. It didn't look like Keanu Reeves. Like, he looked like he was having fun in parts.
He should always have a beard.
Yeah. I've never seen him look 50 plus, but he looked 50 plus in that movie. And but it was fun. A lot of time travel, a lot of silliness. There like Brandon was wondering how the rules and everything played in Tenet. Do not go to a Bill and Ted movie, any of them, expecting for them to follow rules. So it's just not going to happen.
It's going to be a no-go for Brandon.
Yeah. So
what are the rules?
What are the rules?
There you go.
So, and then I watched a movie that I've always wanted to see, but just never took the time out to see. And boy, howdy, am I glad I watched it. I watched They Live. And I texted you guys as soon as I watched it. I was like, have you guys seen this? I knew about it. It's a John Carpenter movie. Oh my gosh.
No, I haven't.
It's so good. It is so good. It is campy. It's silly. It's 80s till it hurts. It's just the craziest movie. And you know what? I don't even want to tell you what it's about. If you're going to watch this movie, which it's on Stars, well, it was when I watched it. If you're going to watch this movie, which I highly recommend you watch this movie, don't know anything more than what the poster looks like. Just go into it blind. Because I knew what it was about, but there were so many like little surprises and stuff. And John Carpenter, I don't know if anybody knows that. I mean, I know you guys know this, but John Carpenter writes his own music and he sometimes writes the movies, most times writes the movies. And he's a real
we know that
auteur. Now, he lost his way a little bit in the 90s, but in the 80s, I mean, that was his jam. Now, if you are going to do a double feature with this movie, I would do it with Repo Man with Emilio Estevez. That movie is on Criterion if you want to go grab that one. And I just think that these movies play well together. Not like they have nothing to do with one another, but they play well together. And They Live. I'm just going to tell you who's in it. Roddy Piper. Roddy Piper's in the star of this movie. And I was like, oh,
Nice.
boy. You know? And there are moments where he is Roddy Piper. You know what I mean? So it is fantastic. Oh, this movie's so much fun. So I honestly think if you guys are going to watch it, I'm talking to you two right here. Let's watch it together. Because
You got me crying, Al.
this movie's hilarious. It's fantastic. It has a great message. Oh, it's so good. So I'm giddy. I saw a movie. I was like, oh, man, this is everything that dreams are made of. It's fantastic. So,
Never seen him.
oh,
so
my
happy.
gosh. It was so good. I immediately started texting people, have you seen this movie? You guys and then other folks. And
Brandon, is he okay?
how's happy?
I don't know. I don't like this.
So it was fantastic. Yes, I will be buying this movie. I'm trying
Since you asked.
I'm trying to find out. Well, I want to watch this movie like ad nauseum. I just want to watch this movie on repeat. So pretty excited. So that's what I've been watching. I highly suggest, and if you have seen They Live, please feel free to say that you don't like it, whatever. I just want to see what people think of this movie because I think this movie can start a really good discussion. So, and if you want these guys to watch it and us do a review of it, let's get those votes going. So,
Let us
Yeah.
know.
oh my gosh,
Please.
it was fantastic. So, anyway, that's what we've been watching. So, we're going to go away and Brandon's going to come back and tell us the fake news, or is it?
Fake news.
All right, we are back, and Brandon is going to give us some news.
All right. Well, if you tuned in last week for our Tenet review, you knew that we saw Tenet, and you knew that
So
Tenet
that's
came
not
out.
news.
And the news is that the box office has been reported domestically.
$35.
Close.
How much is
Close.
3 tickets?
$60.
So Tenet debuted last week with 20 million
So
domestically.
sad.
It's not great. It's doing a lot better overseas. So it's made 150 million worldwide. Now, one thing to take into account is that the budget was estimated to be somewhere around 200 million. That's probably before marketing. They kind of, if you look at like estimates from like the analysts, they typically say you have to double the budget to account
Yeah.
for marketing. But I don't really know how that plays into marketing during
I saw-
COVID because I'm sure it's a different ball game right now as far as marketing.
Yeah, I
is
saw the
concerned.
number was 500 that they had to hit to be profitable.
Gotcha. So I guess my question to you guys is, do we think this movie is going to turn a profit? Do we think this might force WB's hand to move it to some sort of VOD format early?
I
Chime in,
think
let
it
me know.
will make a profit eventually.
Agreed.
No, you let me know in the comments.
Oh, you
That
don't want me to
wasn't-
let
that
you
wasn't
know?
like
Okay, I'll start
an
typing
invitation.
now.
I was just kidding. Go ahead. I'm kidding.
I'm a
kidding.
keyboard
Fire away, Al.
warrior. I think it will turn a profit eventually. I think that this will just catch and go like crazy when it does hit digital or home.
Well, I think the good thing is that it's pretty much going to be the only like big attraction in theaters
Yeah.
for a while. So it's going to have at least legs as far as just being
when's
there.
Wonder Woman's date right now? Do you know what that is?
Is it still in 2020?
November?
Yeah,
Is it November?
maybe. Either way, yeah, you're probably right.
I still haven't seen the first one.
I mean, that and No Time to Die. I think No Time to Die and Wonder Woman are really the biggest like upcoming if they stick to their dates. And I imagine they're kind of looking at Tenet to see.
So October
Yeah.
2nd.
But I believe the
for Wonder
Bond
Woman.
they had a new trailer
Yeah.
last week, and they had that November date still in the
Yeah,
So
trailer.
you've
did.
got 4 weeks until Wonder Woman.
So I think
Gotcha.
it will catch steam whenever it hits video, VOD or however they choose to do that. I think.
Well, do you think that
I think
it will go that route early?
I
do.
don't think so.
I think there's a good chance that it might. I think that Nolan obviously wanted people's initial viewing to be in theaters.
I think
and the people that
any of this
can't
cash they
see
get
it.
in theaters is icing on the cake. And the numbers are disappointing because it's a movie that deserved to be seen in theaters. But I'm sure WB has that auxiliary plan of, if it doesn't hit a certain number,
Right.
they'll, go streaming.
Never
Yeah.
know. I mean, hey, I want them to make the money. They put a lot of hard work into it, so I want them to make the money.
Yeah. Well, the plus side to this is if it does go
Subtitles,
VOD early,
baby.
I can turn those subtitles on.
My gosh,
So
please, please let
that's
that
positive. Hey,
Brandon
I've seen so
really
many
needs a good
people
night's
talk
sleep.
about that dialogue. That's been good to see. I've been looking into other people's thoughts on this movie, and a lot of people share the same sentiment. So that's good.
But what
to feel like
percentage of
I'm not
those
alone
people
there.
You're
actually
just ahead of the curve.
feel that way, or just repeating what they hear online? Which that's what a lot of people do. So we know 6 million people watched our podcast on it, but so maybe people are just following your lead,
Yeah.
Brandon.
Maybe. All right, so I guess just kind of segging off of Tenet, we were able to see. We mentioned this in the last episode, but we saw a teaser for Denis Villeneuve's Dune. They released a little mini, another teaser today. Did you guys get to check that
I
out?
did not.
Al did not. Well, it's pretty quick. Not much to it really. It's just
Basically
kinda
just characters and
shows characters and.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just kind of, it's just one of those things where it's
Teaser
like,
for
look
the
at our
teaser.
cast.
Yeah.
The full trailer comes out tomorrow. So by the time you hear this, it'll have already been out.
And this will be completely irrelevant.
And, yeah. But it's.
The footage
I
we
think-
saw was awesome.
I don't know.
I don't know what you guys
Yeah,
thought about it, but
Yeah.
I trust him. And until he proves me wrong for trusting him. I haven't seen anything since his comeback. I'll say that because he had a career and then he started coming back. About a decade ago. So, hey, only thing this movie doesn't have is Jake Gyllenhaal. He's had a couple of those. So, I trust him. So he could at this point he could literally put white paper up on the screen, and I think he would make it interesting. I don't know how, but he just seems to know how to make things interesting. So I trust him.
yeah, aside from the DC properties, this is my most anticipated movie right now for sure.
Have either of y'all seen the David
seen
Lynch
parts.
Dune?
Yeah, so I watched it with my dad a long time ago. I do plan on rewatching it here soon.
Good luck.
From what I remember, slow,
Yeah, I mean,
long.
yeah. I hear it's just one of those things that was kind of a product of the tech not really being there for them to really execute on it as well as they could have. The scope being a little too big for what they were able to do. But I haven't seen it, so I can't speak on it personally.
Yeah, and the
But
books,
that's just kind of
that's why this is taking so long because the books are just I don't want to say unfilmable because it's obviously happening and has happened, but it's not like a Star Wars. It's a little more in depth than that and things like that. There's a lot of layers, and so
yeah. I'm interested to see how I kind of I don't plan on really reading anything about it,
especially not the
besides,
books.
maybe seeing the trailer. I don't want to know. Yeah, well, I'm not gonna do that for sure. But I'm not. I'm just gonna go into it as cold as possible and just see how it works. But I'm excited for it, and that's really honestly just based on Denis Villeneuve and the cast, because it's got a stacked cast, and like you were saying, he's got a great track record. I've loved everything I've seen.
The aesthetics we've seen so far look pretty phenomenal too. So
yeah, pretty excited. That'll be a theater.
So the trailer will be out tomorrow or yesterday.
What is this, Tenet?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. I'll definitely go to the theater to see that. I'll make a trip.
Me too.
Cool. Me
We
too.
should go together.
Me too.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, it's a date. I think it comes out in December. I think it's taking that like holiday Star Wars
That'd
date.
be cool. That'd be cool.
So be good. So yeah, other thing I got is the Batman resumed filming post their COVID shutdown, and then 2 days later they shut down, and then they were coming back to film again without Robert Pattinson, and then they weren't coming back to film without. It's very confusing. Lots of starts and stops and confusion. Yes, and Robert Pattinson.
Correct.
But yeah,
Is this the
Trouble in
blue
Paradise
lamb
for
or
the Batman.
red
Robert
lamb?
Pattinson got the COVID. Everybody's already sailing it up the river thinking he's going to die. But
Young, healthy
we wish
man.
him well.
It's gonna be all right.
If he does die, we know a guy that could kind of fill in the shoes. We'll see.
And
Batfleck, baby.
That's all. I mean,
I'm gonna.
that was just like entertaining this week, just to see like all the news coming in. Batman's filming. Batman's not filming. Oh, but they're filming without Pattinson. No, they're not. Pattinson's got COVID. Yeah. And then like Pattinson, like not Robert was trending on Twitter.
Not Robert.
Oh, full shame.
No. The Rock got COVID. Robert
Tom Hanks
Pattinson
got
COVID.
COVID.
Jeez.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
Godspeed.
So yeah.
Well, thanks for the news.
Indeed. That's all I got for the news, man. And that, as far as I know, all that is true. So no fake news.
All of our fact checkers out there, please let us know. Thank you so much. Thanks, Brandon. We'll be right back with our review of The Invisible Man. All right, we're back, and we're going to give our review of The Invisible Man, which you all voted on. So thank you for your participation. So, fellas,
This one was a landslide victory this week, by the way.
yeah, got quite a few votes. I think Peanut Butter Falcon came in second, like still far, far away. And then
Way
nobody
back
wanted
up
to
blank.
watch. Yeah, nobody wanted to watch Alcoholic Bruce Wayne. So,
No.
Brandon, what were your initial thoughts of The Invisible Man? Well, you know what? Let's fill everybody in of what The Invisible Man is about, and let's tell
That's
them
a
the
good
budget,
move.
and let's tell them how much it made. Now, it's saying box office. I don't know if that's a combination of the movie theaters and streaming because it came out around that time. So we'll report these numbers. If anybody knows any better, please fill us in. But this movie was originally released February 24th of 2020. So it was right before everybody went on lockdown, because I think everybody went on lockdown about first or second week of March.
It was right. Yeah, it was right after it.
Yeah. So this movie is has Elisabeth Moss, she's from The Handmaid's Tale and Mad Men and quite a few other things. She's one of the, I won't say up and coming actresses, because she's been acting since she was a kid pretty much. So I mean,
Yeah, she's one of the like
around for
quietly
some time.
successful.
Yeah, she's been around for some
Nice.
time. So, but this is after staging his own suicide, a crazed scientist uses his power to become invisible to stalk and terrorize his ex-girlfriend. When the police refuse to believe her story, she decides to take matters into her own hands and fight back. Now, the director is Leah Whannell from, I think, one of our favorites, Upgrade, from a couple years ago.
If you haven't seen that one, also check it out.
Yeah. And there will be a lot of talk of Upgrade during this, especially when I talk about this movie, because I just like to compare to that. But
Sure.
had a budget of $7 million. That's the Blumhouse right there. I mean, it is a Universal property, but Blumhouse came in and helped out. And had a box office of $134.3 million. So I would say they made their money back.
I actually read on online too, interesting factoid. It was in development in the early or middle 2000s, and Johnny Depp was attached originally.
Yeah, that's when they were going to do the whole universe.
Monsters, yeah.
And
The Dark Universe, as they called it.
Tom
Had a
they
logo
had
and
that
everything.
magazine layout.
Made one movie.
I think it was like Vanity Fair or Entertainment Weekly or whatever.
Yeah.
And had
And then
like
The
Russell
Mummy came
Crowe and Benicio del Toro and
I think it was
it Javier? Okay.
Javier Bardem.
I know at one time.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Fake
Angelina
news?
Jolie.
no, Benicio del Toro was attached maybe before, but he was attached at one time. So I just don't remember if he was in that picture.
I don't know. I'll have to Google that one.
Benicio made me think
Yeah.
about the
what I'm
Wolfman movie
thinking.
that he did,
Right, that's what I'm
but
saying.
that
before.
wasn't in that
So,
universe.
I don't care. Look, it didn't happen. It didn't happen.
Well, then,
Right? Because Tom Cruise came in and stunk
Yeah.
the joint up with the Mummy.
one movie happened.
Yeah.
Ugh.
Never
I don't
saw
think
it.
anybody did.
Tank of
So,
Tanks.
Anybody here see it?
thank you. Do you remember when that movie was coming out and they had that raw footage and they had that weird like his actual scream in there, and it was like it just turned people off, and that was what people
I don't
went
think I
off
ever saw
of. Didn't want to see it. So that tanked and killed that whole entire universe. And then
He
in
killed
walks-
the whole universe.
in walks Leah Whannell and resurrects the whole thing. I mean, this is really picking up steam for that whole universe. So they're going to go on I hope they try to do it all on a small scale, like this small budget, and try to make more.
Have they? I haven't heard any talk of them actually. Are they doing an actual?
I don't know if it's
universe
as
based in this.
I don't know if it's planned
Invisible
out
Man
completely,
universe?
but I know that they are already talking about Ryan Gosling as the Wolfman.
That's right. Isn't Leah Whannell?
I think
directing
he's in
that?
charge of it all. I'm not sure if he's directing it all. So he very well could be. Okay.
He is.
So
yeah, they're in pre-pro
and
on it.
they're already talking about a sequel
Just looked it
to
up.
Invisible
Confirmed.
Man. So I mean, it was successful. So of course, where there's money, they will sniff it out. Whoa,
Invisible
man.
Woman.
Ooh.
So
Yeah.
let's get into initial
Mhm.
thoughts. Brandon, what'd you think of this, The Invisible Man?
I really liked it. I mean, there, and we can get into it later. As far as it kind of ebbed and flowed a little bit for me. There was a point at one point in the movie that I was like, I'm not really into this. It was kind of more of a twist, I guess. And then it kind of changed from like a psychological thriller into more of a typical. I don't know if I don't know, hard, not necessarily hard, more action thriller than psychological thriller. And then by the time it got to the end, it kind of won me back over. But yeah, I dug it. I mean, it's got a lot of cool, like inventive camera work, a lot of really like just a lot of shots that kind of just let the scenes just like sit and just become so like tense just by looking at like just nothingness, like just helped build a lot of tension, and I really appreciated that. And that would, for me, that's kind of the first half of the movie is what they utilize that the most, and that's where the movie like worked the best for me. And then it kind of takes a turn, and like I said, then it kind of gets, I liked the conclusion of it. But yeah, overall dug it. Love Leah Whannell, and
right.
excited to see what he does
Ryan?
next.
Yeah. Sounds like we're kind of in a similar boat, and I'll echo what I kind of mentioned in an earlier podcast. It was a tale of two halves for me. Loved the first half. and the second half, at the point that you're talking about, I kind of lost interest a little bit.
What point was it
This
for
whole-
you?
Yeah.
I guess
It's all
we
gonna
can
be
kind of
spoilers.
say.
So really, the first time that you like see the suit itself, I guess.
Oh, when she
is
goes back to the house.
Do I?
When she goes back to the house, or when
No.
she throws
So
paint on him.
it was right after the paint part.
Okay.
I thought the paint thing was pretty cool.
I think for me,
You're good.
and I don't mean
Going
to
to
interrupt
anyway.
you, but just to tell you what point it was for me.
It's your show, Brandon.
Was the thanks. It was the part where the brother is revealed to be like in on it. That's when it
Yeah.
kind of shifted for me.
I assumed that he was involved somehow. I don't
Well,
know.
yeah.
I actually thought initially that it was gonna be him and not the original guy involved at the end.
I thought that too when at the reveal. I guess
Really, from the scene in the
you finish what you're saying.
I don't know what you call it, boardroom, I guess, where he's going over the trying to get her to sign the
He reveals that he's in on it at the like
no.
the
I'm not saying
mental
he
hospital,
revealed it. That's when I
she's
got
in.
the sense that he was, yeah.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, so it was a fun movie though. I love the camera work, like you were talking about, and a lot of the camera work kind of harkened me back to the first Paranormal Activity, which was kind of a
I thought about that movie when he pulled the covers off.
yeah, and the scene in the kitchen.
I really liked the whole like flickering. Well, that was a cool scene too. I liked the payoff with when they show the that scene of her Cecilia and Sydney, I think is her name, the daughter of her friend. They're in the bed, and then you like see like flickering like strobe light, and then they
Right.
you find out later
Sure.
that he was like taking pictures.
No,
of
I
them.
agree with you.
I was
First,
like,
I was like,
what's
"See,
the-
just like turn
like,
the lights on and off real quick."
I think
Yeah,
I think
that
that-
bedroom scene too, though. One of my favorite parts was when she went to pull the sheet and his feet were standing on it. Yeah, I was like,
Oh
snap."
yeah. He was standing on it. Yeah, that's cool.
so. I grew up in a house. I grew up in a household full of women.
What'd you think, Al?
So this movie reminded me a lot of a Lifetime movie. Like
I can see that general
It
storyline.
felt-
I can see that. Yeah,
it felt like. Yeah, it's
Okay.
exactly
Jennifer
one of the
Lopez
movies I
enough.
thought about. Now I know that's not a Lifetime movie, but I did end up seeing that movie as a younger person, and holy handbags, that movie, and I mean, there's so many of those movies where it was like, all of them,
Sleeping with the enemy.
It just single white female, all of it, just all those movies. But it literally like Lifetime was clicking in my head the whole time. I was like, oh my gosh, I just was like, this is a stinker. I liked the fact there were no. I like.
Oh, all right. That
I like-
wraps the show up.
I liked the fact there were no jump scares. I thought that
yeah, there was
was
zero essentially.
a great deal of creativity put into the execution. I thought the directing was very good. I know that he also wrote this movie, so but at the same time, was there any studio pushback? I don't know. But I thought that the whole thing about like whenever it really got Lifetime, like for me, whenever she goes to the sister's, was that her office, her apartment, or what was that? It looked like a library at first, but whenever she goes there and she's like, you sent me that email, you never want to see me again. It was just like that quick, she just turned her off that quick. And it was like, and I saw, yeah, they show you the whole email and everything, but I was like, okay. So like just cut her out of your life. And then, she goes to the restaurant, and the neck slashing
I'm
part
sorry,
goes
I'm gonna
on.
interrupt you. This is one of my favorite Brandon faces right now. He's just like, tell us about it, Al.
Yeah, I mean, I think that you could tell that was digital. I mean, you could see the $7 million on the screen.
Oh, yeah.
And I think they did a lot with the $7 million. I think the majority of that $7 million was put into the suit and the flickering of the, whenever he's in and out and stuff like that. And then renting that house. Yeah.
I thought you were going to say the camera flash.
No. Whenever he's like,
The camera flash.
whenever he's in the,
They had to buy an
parking
iPhone.
lot,
They ain't cheap. I don't know if you heard.
Them things like $1,200.
So anyway, still, but I don't know. I liked the James guy.
Yeah.
He seemed like a real cop and things of that nature.
So I had not seen him in anything
Yeah.
before, except for I used to, like in the first couple seasons it was on TV, I used to watch Supernatural after Smallville, and he was in that show. And I had not seen him in anything until this movie.
Well, maybe they got him for a song. But the sister, she was all right. But didn't think anything of her. But anyway, I don't know if my hopes were up too high because of Upgrade. But at the same time, I am not the biggest Elisabeth Moss fan. Like, I'm sure she's a good actress and everything. I just don't care. Like, she doesn't draw my attention
don't
to
care
make
about her.
I don't care to see her in anything. That's just, hey, I'm not trying to say anything bad about her personally. I'm just saying, me personally, I don't care to see her in anything. Ugh.
But you gonna.
No, I don't wish that.
I wish you were
But-
dead.
Anyway,
I just think John David Washington would have done great in this part.
as Elisabeth Moss, as the girlfriend. I liked how, I liked the silence. How this now this movie also reminded me of the movie The Strangers, which is a horror movie from like 8 so years ago, and how that movie just works on your nerves.
Sure.
Is in a much more intense way.
Mm-hmm.
But I think Whannell did a great job of building, I guess, tension without, like the recent It movies. It's just like jumping in the camera and, like all the Conjuring movies where somebody's shaking in a corner and stuff like that. That's garbage. But he did it with some class in this movie. So I see the directing and I see his talent. But I didn't care about the story. I mean, kind of saw
But it
what was
was a
going to happen.
stinker.
It was a stink. It just wasn't good to me. So
Yep. I like the directing.
I can see the positives in it. It just didn't
Stinker.
land.
Don't.
Just
It
didn't
just-
land. It felt too much. And maybe that's
It's a
because
stinker.
my mom and sisters watched a lot of Lifetime movies.
Elisabeth Moss.
But there's this one Lifetime movie in particular. I don't know the name of it, but it is stuck in my head my whole life. This little girl has tap shoes and she wears them everywhere. She wears them with her nice dress or whatever. And I just remember her beating people to death with these tap shoes. And that's the whole movie. So it just kind of felt like it was like
That's like
over the
exactly
top
like
for no
this
reason.
movie.
I can see the
Can you?
parrot.
Well, she's
Yep,
just-
I can see the
you know,
parallels there.
I'm just saying, like, it's just they put upon girlfriend, wife, whatever, and at no time did I ever like they had to. I'm glad they put that line in there about why he chose her because, she's basically the girlfriend. She said, "I'm just an ordinary suburban girl or whatever." I was trying to figure out the whole time, like, dude, why would you do all this like for her? I didn't get it. So
Well, he was crazy.
yeah, it was nutcase, and it seems like the whole family was a nutcase. So, yeah, I don't know. I'll say this: it's better than the original Invisible Man. No, No, I'm just saying the
What?
original Invisible Man. Have you ever seen it? I mean, the original book, the original. I've never said
Well,
that. You
it's
say
old.
that.
It's better, right?
About me, but you say that.
This just like ruins my whole like the whole
Stereotype
building
of
blocks of my the
No,
way I live my life with movies. I mean, I always thought that older movies
I've
were
never said
better because they're older. But you're saying that this new movie
Well,
is better than the old movie.
Depends on which old movie. Yeah,
That's what you're
I mean,
saying.
like, I'm not a fan of the Universal monsters, so like, I'm not like a big fan of these movies. But the original movie. So first off, the book came out in like 1897 or something like the H.G. Wells, but it was originally.
Somebody fact check that.
It was originally.
You heard it here.
1897.
It was originally serialized in like a magazine, and like the original book's only like 150 pages, something. It's pretty short. 50.
Fact check that
not
too.
15.
150 pages.
And then
Go on now.
so I think they made the first movie in like 1938 or something like that, 1940, something like that. And they've made this time and time again. They've made Memoirs of the Invisible Man with Chevy Chase. They made Hollow Man, which is pretty much Invisible Man.
Wasn't I know we can't really say his name anymore, but Bill
Ghost
Cosby,
Dad,
wasn't he in a movie called
And,
Ghost Dad or something?
Yeah,
I loved
mean,
that movie when I was a
that's
kid.
when you were allowed to like him. So, but I mean, this Invisible Man has been a TV show twice, or maybe 3 times, but I know twice. And I think both times were black and white. But anyway, this story has constantly been told, and the original movie is just the character wrapped up in bandages because they didn't have the ways of doing it.
Is
and
the
put big
story the
sunglasses.
same, or is it just that concept
No.
of an invisible human?
No, from what I remember, it's been some time, but he has some like lab rats or something like that, and he's like a scientist, and he comes up with some like it's like a something that makes the hamsters or lab rats, whatever they are, invisible. So he does it. I don't remember why, to himself, and he's wrapped up in bandages to show.
No wonder the
and then
original's better, or the new one's
and then
better.
He unwraps himself, and he's like, it's just like a shirt dancing around, but he just laughs like he's like ha, 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 like that, and that's the majority of that movie. So yeah, with that being said, they did a lot with a very campy story. You know what I mean? So kudos to Leah Whannell for that.
I don't know if I would call
Or a
I don't know if I would call it a campy story. Like,
Well, the campy
It seems like
campy concept of a guy that he's basically just, from the movie that I did not read the book. I just want to put that out there. But the original movie, I mean, he's just
read
like
the book.
he's just being a jerk to people. So
I definitely liked them like grounding it in like a tech.
It's not like an elixir.
Tag, you know, like
Yeah.
having it be like believable. Yeah. And it's obviously a pretty timely story right now. The domestic abuse angle and all that.
Cool.
So,
yeah. No, I mean,
yeah. Which, I mean, again, this is one of those things where the science doesn't really add up if you're talking about like multiple people looking at a suit that's projecting an image. Then if you have more than one person looking at this thing,
you don't know how the technology works.
Be
All right.
all for. Oh, I do. I'm researching it right now.
Look out,
Make a
Melissa.
fun suit, so.
did
It's kind of that same, like, you remember in was it Mission Impossible 4, the Brad Bird one, where they have that like screen that has
I know,
the
and it starts
perspective,
flickering back
and
and
then
forth.
when the one guard's looking at it, it works, but then when the other
Sure.
guard walks in, it's like it doesn't know who to. It's that kind of thing.
no clue. I didn't see it.
I mean, come on. Come on, guys.
Yeah. Did you guys? What did you guys think about the acting?
What'd you guys think about
What'd you think about the stinker?
Very bad movie.
Stinker.
The stinker.
No, I thought
acting.
Sorry,
ahead,
Al.
Ryan.
I thought Elizabeth
You
Moss
go.
was great in this one. I really felt her
Acting.
getting more and more distraught as the movie went on.
Crazy. Yeah.
I didn't feel like there was, cause a lot of times in those type movies, I don't know, it feels like a lot of the times that energy feels inconsistent. They're kind of ebbing and flowing as the story progresses, but I felt like she was just every time they showed her, she looked worse, and
She looked. Yeah. I mean,
she was looking rough by the end of this movie.
definitely beat her up. Yeah. Brandon, what do you think?
Yeah. Yeah, no, I thought it was all pretty solid across the board. I would say as far as any kind of weak points.
Yeah, I can see that.
Sister.
Maybe the sister was a little on
They
the
were like, "We
weaker
got
side
30
compared to
bucks,
the
we need another
other
actress."
What do you guys think
talent.
of the infamous restaurant scene?
That was cool. Again, but listening to other podcasts, I had heard somebody say, "Oh, that restaurant scene," and I was like, "Okay." Well, I was like, when it gets to the restaurant scene, I'm looking for something crazy to go on, and so I was kind of, it wasn't as big of a shock.
So I had not,
Because I had
when I
kinda
saw
had
it, I
that
had not
hinted at, but-
heard any mention of the restaurant scene. So it was pretty, I was pretty shocked when that happened.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not going to sit here and say I expected a knife to float and slash her throat and then throw it in her hand. I didn't expect that. But you could tell, I mean, you could see it was digital blood and stuff like that. So it wasn't as whereas in Upgrade, everything was so gruesome. I mean, it was the most gruesome stuff. By the way, did you notice the guy
They had to buy an iPhone, Al. They didn't have the money for real blood.
Did you notice the bad guy from Upgrade in this movie?
I did not.
Yeah.
Oh, interesting.
The guy at the tech company
Yeah. So
she interviewed for, mustache guy. Yeah.
Yeah. He had same haircut.
I did notice that.
Looked just as same.
Yeah.
Just didn't have a gun in his
just
arm.
as creepy. Right. No, I liked get back to the restaurant scene. I thought that was cool, and I liked the idea of the concept of him grabbing the knife, slashing her throat, and then putting it in her hand and seemingly holding their knife and in place, holding her so that it's she can't let go of it.
Yeah.
So that was pretty cool. I watched a.
No, go ahead.
Go ahead. I
I'm
was going
not
to go
gonna
to a
say
different
anything
scene
about
if
the
you have
restaurant
something else to say about this scene. I watched some behind the scenes videos today of the kitchen fight, and they utilized motion control cameras for that scene, which is pretty interesting to see, so that they could paint out the guy that's in there with her fighting in the green suit, Green Man. It's probably Charlie. In there fighting, and so this motion control rig, it's on a set course, and so they had to time out. They had to basically have a kind of a metronome counting system to where they just memorized every beat of the fight choreography so that the camera was always in the correct place, because they weren't following them just on the fly. So the rehearsal of that scene was pretty crucial. And then obviously they would do a second pass to be able to kind of, cut out the guy in the green suit so they'd have a blank plate behind him. But
Did you guys
it's pretty
notice
cool to
any of
see how
the
that was executed.
nods to the original Invisible Man movies?
Never seen
it. Well, I mean, you've probably seen images at least.
Yeah, we hadn't seen it.
So in the Sydney, the daughter that she's staying at the house, she she wants to be a fashion designer. So in her bedroom, there's a
mannequin,
not a full mannequin, but like where you have like coat and hat on there and everything. And I saw that as a nod. I don't know if they intended it, but it looked like a nod. And then, there are a couple of little things here and there. So I won't give them all away, but I thought he was very respectful in the way he went about it. So.
So what, as far as like how it all ended up playing out, with the end and, how she gets, I guess, her revenge on Loverboy. How did y'all, as far as that whole scene, what were your thoughts on how that played out as far as, it seemed like they went to that that little like cubby in the closet a few times, and
so the only issue I took
see
with
that they were going to pay something off of that at some point.
I loved I thought
he was a big fan of the boyfriend. He didn't want him to die. He was like, don't let him die.
The security camera thing was cool, where she was just out of frame of the security camera. So I thought that was a cool element. I did take a little bit of issue with how they handled, I guess, who's the cop again that we talked about earlier? James. How they handled his story ending. She kind of put him in a bad spot where she was just like, I know you're a cop, but you're gonna have to lie about this one. I just felt that.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah. I
would like to see him.
Was that
essentially
a definitive, like
when they walk out past each other?
She's like,
she said, himself. You heard him. But he killed himself.
I think she was basically with more body language and eyes and stuff like that. It was kind of telling him like, I did it, but
and he was to me it seemed very clear that was the intent of that scene.
Yeah. Did anybody have glimpses of Gone Girl?
Yes.
During any of
early
that?
on,
I thought of Gone Girl a lot during this, except it was like flipped.
Sure.
The guy, and then whenever the in the movie Gone Girl, whenever she's at Neil Patrick Harris's estate, and she's like acting like she's kidnapped on the cameras and stuff like that. Just kind of, I'm not saying they, took that and copied it. I'm just saying it just kept reminding me. So that's another thing. This movie just kept reminding me of other movies. It was like so. I don't know. I don't know if that hurt my opinion of this movie.
So for me, other than Gone Girl, the horror thriller, whatever genre you want to call it, I feel like there's always those are easy movies to compare because there's just you can do new stuff, but at the end of the day, you're trying to scare somebody, and there's kind of a limited number of tools that you have in that bag. Oh, so sure. Not like the Paranormal Activity type stuff. I mean,
I think that's why I kind of preferred the first half as opposed to the second half, because I think it kind of falls into those tropes a little more in the second half, whereas in the first half it just allowed like your imagination to kind of control what you were seeing, so to speak, with how long it lingered on shots and how she has there's when she puts the like the fertilizer or whatever on the floor, and then she's like sitting there like talking like, is he really there, is he not there, is he in this room with her? And just throughout the whole, like, once she kind of figures out or suspects that he's somehow around, and you're constantly wondering
always
whether or not, and kind of visualizing
it's
for
always
yourself
nice
where
to
you could
see
be, that's like part
something
of
new in a movie like this.
It kind of plays into like, I guess the happy accident in Jaws where they couldn't get the shark to work, so they had to like rely on a few tricks to kind of make the viewer kind of, you know,
Right.
you just build your own suspense because you can't ever see the shark until like certain key moments. But that wasn't by design. It was more, you know, like I said,
Sure.
happy accident, but kind of falls into that same kind of thing for me as far as
Now, did you guys watch this with your wives?
just letting you make it up for yourself.
Yes.
How did they? I mean, how did they respond to this
Yep.
movie? And just thinking from a female's perspective.
Katie enjoyed it. She gets a little. She's not a huge horror movie fan. She just doesn't like scary movies. So the
Okay.
beginning of it was a little. She was kind of like cover the ears every once in a while kind of thing.
Right.
But she always comes around on those type of movies when she sees the ending because she knows how everything ends up. But she enjoyed it.
All right.
Yeah, Melissa liked it as well. She likes kind of suspense type movies. It's not her favorite genre, as you'll see in another episode. But yeah, she was into it. We had just watched Upgrade not too long ago,
Movie's
and
a
she
visceral
liked that one
punch to
too.
the
So
face. It's a fantastic
um,
movie. So, yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
I like I said, I can see the good in this movie. I can see the good direction in this movie, but it's just not my jam. So,
you don't like Elizabeth
Stinker.
Moss, we get it.
I don't know.
If
I mean,
I
the
wonder
story
if it
just-
had a different
like,
actress in it.
there were just
it
things in
would've
it that I thought were just like
pulled
not-
you around.
not great. Like whenever the little girl gets slapped, I was like, wasn't she just looking right at you? like, how do you think somebody slapped you if you're looking right at them? So, and everybody just turned that quickly.
Well, I think it's one of those things where it's, I mean, she doesn't have that, like, if you were to just get slapped out of nowhere, it's like you don't know that this could even be a possibility of
Right.
someone.
Where's the invisible
slapping
guy?
you. It's like the first thing that you're just gonna, like,
Well,
yeah. I mean,
um,
but I mean, I know what you're saying.
I
That's
mean,
a stinker.
She figured out he was invisible pretty quickly. She was just like, "Oh, he's here. He's invisible."
Fake news.
She's like, "He's here."
Well, I think it kind of played into that whole, like, I mean, she knew that he was in. If I recall, that's what she kind of like already assumes that he may have invented some, you know, tech type thing to actually do this, and she also has that sixth sense, so to speak, of his presence, and it's like one of those like things that they play into with her being able to feel him around.
What about
Yeah.
the
I don't know, man.
jail cell
Dug it.
scene where
Sorry you
she
didn't
stole
know.
that pen and yeah
That was the one
Yeah.
line that I was like,
felt the
I don't
same
like
way.
that. Like when she's like, "There you are."
yeah
Like, I didn't like that line. That was
Yeah.
definitely like a trailer line type. And I'm pretty sure it was in the trailer actually. I
Yeah,
like
that's
what
cool.
about the
I thought it was
hallway
cool.
scene with all the guards and like he's taking out.
I
the
did
guards
have
and they're, like,
issue now
shooting
that I'm
themselves
thinking
in the
about it. One of
leg
the
and-
things I took issue with in this movie was his strength.
Yeah, he was
how
like,
is this guy like throwing these
yeah,
grown men across
these
the room?
like really large men, like he had like superhero
Yeah.
strength. It was like insane.
That was one thing that me and Katie were commenting about it during those type of fight scenes. I was like, good
I think-
Lord.
I do think the stuff inside the psych ward or whatever that was some of the better stuff in the movie. Where I saw her acting, like, I mean, she's got acting chops. I'm not going to say she can't act. I'm not saying she's a bad actress. I'm just saying I just don't get anything out of her acting. You know what I mean? But I thought that was where the movie kind of picked up a little, and then it kind of lost me because I don't know, it just kept jumping like ahead too quickly. Like it didn't seem like certain things developed and things like that to me. But hey, that's why we have podcasts, so we can all share our differences.
We can talk about them stinkers.
What'd you think about the guy what'd you think about
Yeah, I
her
was like-
giving the guy a ladder? That was pretty cool.
This has got to be something. like, do you think they were just like stuck on page like whatever 30, and they're like, she's got to get up to the attic. How's she gonna do that?
Me and Brandon had the decision. We would have said grappling gun for sure.
So it's like, yeah, I mean, yeah.
There you
And
go.
the whole thing, yeah, I was
Dang
like,
straight.
shh.
Good
And it was
thing
tall
she gave
enough.
it to him.
And she had some pretty good upper body strength to be able to hoist herself in and out of that attic. So hey, hats off to her. But yeah, the one scene that I thought looked really silly was when James was in the hallway and he was beating him. He was the invisible guy was beating him up, and it just looked like a rag. I was like, I just didn't believe that. Like kind of like you were just saying about the superhero strength.
Yeah.
Superhuman strength. I just didn't hear it. I didn't see it that way. But was I surprised that it was the brother? No, was not surprised at all. I don't think you guys were either. I think you've already said that. And in those,
Well, it was and it wasn't. I mean, it was at one point. Like
right.
it was
right.
him,
Yeah.
right? Like he wasn't in the
Right,
suit
but I
the whole
never,
time.
I never
He was there
believed
for
like whenever he
a
showed her the
portion.
pictures of the suicide and things like that. I was like, you didn't even know what she was coming in here for. Why are you showing her suicide pictures? It's like she was coming in to say like, what's he doing? Why is he here? You know, why is he do? He just like had those readily available. Like he just like, hey, check out these huge photos I have of my brother. They committed suicide, right? Like if he had called somebody, hey, can you bring me that envelope or something like that? You know, something like to where they weren't just right there in his desk or right there on that table, because I don't think there was a desk. I think it was a table.
I didn't take
It was part of the file.
No, but that was
for
whenever she came
his
back
estate.
and said,
Like,
tell him to stop.
I mean,
Yeah, it was. It was because she came back to say, tell
No,
him
I
to
don't
stop.
think
And he was
so.
like, here's the proof that he's dead. And he just whipped those out. And it wasn't during the estate hearing or reading or whatever, because the sister shut that down pretty quickly. And
I don't know.
and that's why I
just-
didn't understand the sister turning her back on her so
Gotcha.
quickly, because they were like so tight. And then all of a sudden it was like, okay. It's like, screw you. There's an email. Da-da-da-da. So anyway.
Well, she kind of spun off. I mean, I get what you're saying. She kind of spun off the rails, though. I don't know.
Oh, she was going insane. I mean, if my sister came to me and said, Al, there's an invisible man after me, I'd be like, what?
I mean, I will say that when you're talking about like some of the stuff being a little lifetimey, the one part that kind of jumped out to me that was like that was when she like walked outside. I think it was the first time she walked outside, and then the like runner was coming, and she like got real freaked out by the guy that was running by her. Like
Well,
that felt a little like
Yeah, and
kind of
the only
gimmicky
jump
and
scare,
kinda weak
like
execution,
true
but-
jump scare, was when she kicked the dog bowl. Oh, that was one thing. I was like, all right, you have this planned to where you're going to leave, to where you're going to escape. Why are you not wearing pajama pants so you don't have to put on pants to get down the road? Like she was wearing like a nightgown, like a little thigh high or whatever, thigh low, like mid thigh, whatever, nightgown or whatever. So it's like, why aren't you wear some pajama pants to bed so you don't have to put on pants?
Maybe she's just trying to sell it.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And I was like, oh, okay. You're just
Maybe
trying
she
to
never
make me,
wears
like,
pajama pants.
Maybe he doesn't let her. I don't know.
But
But-
if she never wears pajama pants and she goes to bed with pajama pants, he's gonna be like, "Why are you wearing pajama pants?"
Yeah. So, whatever. I was just thinking, like,
Yeah, I don't know.
Plan
Wasn't on my
better.
radar.
Don't bother.
if you're trying to escape for your life,
I'll look for it next time.
don't let your getaway car be late. It's like, I'm in the middle of the road. Yeah.
I'll tell you one thing.
It's like Tony Stark's.
He had a nice place.
Yeah, it was very big.
Really nice place.
It was like
good location.
Yeah. The place was windows and a
windows.
couple corners.
Good view.
Yeah. It was a pretty nice place.
We starting a real estate podcast.
Yeah. So, how much do you think of the budget that was? Yeah. No, $1,200.
Not as
Well,
much
guys,
as the iPhone.
is there anything else you want to add?
Don't think so. No.
All right. So let's start with.
I don't think
Brand-
so.
Well, let's start with Ryan. Actually, Ryan, I know that you've already purchased this, but you purchased it before you watched it, right?
I did.
So now that you've watched it, what would you do?
I'd still buy it. I enjoyed it. It's one of those where it's not like something I'm going to rewatch all the time, but if you have friends over, you want to watch something, a little thriller or something, I think it could be a good one to put on.
Okay. Brandon?
I'd definitely say see it. As far as buy it or rent it, I mean, if you're like us and you just like to own them, I'd say buy it. But I honestly don't see myself watching this one too many times. I think a rental would probably be a good solution for most people. But like I said, if you just like having it in your collection, and I would probably buy this on like a bargain price.
Got it for $10.
Like $5 to $10, I'd buy it.
All right.
But,
I would say.
there you go.
Al,
Do you have an icon for a stinker?
It's the poop emoji. No, I don't think this movie is terrible or anything. I think that this movie gained a lot of hype because it was one of the 2 movies that was available when COVID started. So I think it got a lot more eyes than it would have. I know I wouldn't buy it. I know I wouldn't buy it.
I feel like you've used this before.
I would,
this line.
I guess see it because Leah Whannell, I want him to make more movies. So let's give him some clicks. I mean, I'm not gonna say skip it because I
I
already
guess
told.
see it.
Like, I know my mom's gonna like this movie, so I told her, "Hey, Mom, got a high budget Lifetime movie for you." So, and I know that a lot of people already do like it, so I don't want to say not see it, but just not my jam. Is that fair? one day I'll like it. One day.
One day.
We'll play it at your funeral, Al.
I think
It
I
is
think the
not
second
They Live.
screening is what's going to do
It's
it for
not
you.
They Live. Yeah, I think this is the Al that I prefer. This seems like normal Al. Remember how excited he was earlier with They Live? Now he's like normal. Now he's good. I don't have to send anybody to check on him anymore. He's good.
I don't know whether to be- I don't know whether.
It's like the opposite.
going on with him
It's
right
like the
now.
opposite on normal. It's like if Al's really excited, I don't know. We probably need to go get somebody to check in on. If he's like depressed, it's like, nah, he's good. He'll be fine.
I don't hate everything. I just
Does he still
like
hate everything?
a
Yeah, okay, he's
specific
fine.
grouping of things. All right, so that was our review of Invisible Man. I do want to say that this week we are not going to be voting because next week we have a very special episode.
You're going to
It's a
want to
little-
tune in.
Yeah, it's
For
a
sure.
little bit different. Couple guests we're going to bring on. You're not going to want to miss this because we're not reviewing a movie, but we are talking movies with our guest. So that's all we'll say for right now. Make sure you stay tuned to all the social and right here on YouTube or podcast, Apple, Spotify, whatever you're listening on. Ryan, you want to tell them again where they can find us and where they can keep up with everything that we're talking about?
Yep. Instagram and Twitter at CiNEMACHiNE and like we said before, let's hit us up in the comments and let us know what you think about the episode.
Awesome. Well, guys, I had a good time chatting with you, and hey, at least I got the word out about They Live. So that's
That you did, Al.
that's what really matters.
There you go.
There's that smile.
No, guys, tell us what you think about The Invisible Man. How much you hate my opinion. How much you like theirs. How much maybe you may agree with me if there's anybody out there.
Not likely.
We're here for conversation. We don't get our feelings hurt. Yeah.
What a nightmare.
We don't want to know if there's anyone like that.
Those are the comments they delete.
There
If
can
you
be
agree with
only
me.
one.
So, but thank you for tuning in to CiNEMAChiNE. Make sure you like, subscribe, and share on whatever platform you're on. And we truly appreciate that. And we will see you all on social and in the comment section, as well as the next episode of CiNEMAChiNE. See you all next week.
Bye.
Ba-da-do-do-do-do.